Imagine waking up one day and realizing the world around you is lost, that chaos and corruption have taken over everything, and an unprecedented catastrophe is approaching, threatening to wipe out everything you know. Noah lived exactly this experience, and he didn't just survive the end of the world, he was chosen to build the future of humanity. While most believed that destruction was inevitable, Noah saw things differently. He took on a mission many would consider insane, but it proved to be an act of unmatched faith and courage. This is the story of an ordinary man with extraordinary determination, someone who dared to listen to a voice beyond his understanding and build a refuge against the impossible. Noah didn't just save himself, he carried the fate of all living creatures on his shoulders, a burden few could bear. Noah teaches us about the power of believing in something greater and the importance of persevering, even when the entire world seems against you. And why does this story still resonate so deeply today? Perhaps because, in many ways, we face our own personal floods, crises, challenges, losses. Each of us, at some point, feels the need to build an ark to weather our storms. And that's exactly what we're going to explore together. How Noah shows us the path to resist the inevitable and start anew. Are you ready to embark on this journey of faith, resilience, and renewal? In an age long before modern civilization, the world was enveloped in a darkness that went beyond the physical. It was a moral void, an abyss of humanity's own making. People had grown so corrupt that their every thought seemed bent toward harm and selfishness. Picture a society where kindness was almost extinct, where deceit and violence were as common as the air they breathed. It's a chilling thought, isn't it? A time where true goodness was like a rare gem buried under layers of soil, unseen and perhaps forgotten. Humanity's descent wasn't just disappointing, it stirred a profound regret in the divine, a regret over the very creation of life itself. Can you imagine that? The Creator, looking upon the world, seeing it twisted beyond recognition, felt sorrow over the work of his hands. It's as if a sculptor, after painstakingly crafting a masterpiece, watches it crumble because it refused to hold form. This regret wasn't casual. It was the deep lament of a creator feeling betrayed by his own beloved work. If we think about it, this moral darkness wasn't just an ancient problem. In small ways, we see echoes of it even today, don't we? When people harm others for personal gain, or when kindness is met with suspicion, we're reminded of this ancient decay. It's a timeless reminder that, left unchecked, human nature has a way of spiraling. And in the face of such a bleak world, something had to change, something radical. A new beginning was on the horizon. In an age long before modern civilization, the world was enveloped in a darkness that went beyond the physical. It was a moral void, an abyss of humanity's own making. People had grown so corrupt that their every thought seemed bent toward harm and selfishness. Picture a society where kindness was almost extinct, where deceit and violence were as common as the air they breathed. It's a chilling thought, isn't it? A time where true goodness was like a rare gem buried under layers of soil, unseen and perhaps forgotten. Humanity's descent wasn't just disappointing, it stirred a profound regret in the divine, a regret over the very creation of life itself. Can you imagine that? The Creator, looking upon the world, seeing it twisted beyond recognition, felt sorrow over the work of his hands. It's as if a sculptor, after painstakingly crafting a masterpiece, watches it crumble because it refused to hold form. This regret wasn't casual. It was the deep lament of a creator feeling betrayed by his own beloved work. If we think about it, this moral darkness wasn't just an ancient problem. In small ways, we see echoes of it even today, don't we? When people harm others for personal gain, or when kindness is met with suspicion, we're reminded of this ancient decay. It's a timeless reminder that, left unchecked, human nature has a way of spiraling. And in the face of such a bleak world, something had to change, something radical. A new beginning was on the horizon. Now, you might wonder, what kind of world did this moral decay create? Imagine a place where loyalty had faded, where every person looked out only for themselves, and where betrayal was a common part of daily life. Friends and family became divided by distrust, and any sense of community was replaced by fear. People feared their neighbors and doubted their friends. It's no wonder that the Creator, who envisioned a world filled with love and connection, felt this deep regret. The actions people took in this darkened world were not isolated incidents. They reflected a widespread shift in the very essence of humanity. Think about it. If every person acts without regard for others, society crumbles at its core. The bonds that once held communities together, trust, compassion, and unity had dissolved. The world had become an endless cycle of selfish acts, with each person contributing to a growing culture of suspicion and division. It was, indeed, a moral darkness without a trace of light. This moral collapse didn't happen overnight, and it wasn't without warning signs. Like a slow poison, corruption spread from one generation to the next, becoming more embedded in everyday life. Imagine a person telling small lies to get ahead, then watching as their children pick up the same habit and expand upon it. Over time, these little wrongs grew into larger wrongs, until people no longer saw them as wrong at all. This is the gradual erosion of moral awareness that plagued that ancient world. And this raises a profound question. What happens to a world where there is no moral compass? When people's only guiding star is personal gain, the idea of right and wrong becomes meaningless. They lose sight of their own humanity. In a world like this, even acts of kindness could be seen as weaknesses, exploited by those who viewed compassion as foolish. Without a moral foundation, the world had become a place where people feared goodness as much as they feared evil. Interestingly, though, history has shown us that such moral darkness can often spark a longing for light. Even in that ancient world, perhaps there were those who looked around and felt that things had gone too far. Perhaps they yearned for a life of honesty and compassion, but found themselves lost in a sea of greed and hatred. This yearning, the quiet voice that says, "There must be more than this," can be a powerful force, pushing us toward change, even when the darkness seems impenetrable. It was against this backdrop of despair and disillusionment that a new chapter was about to unfold. Sometimes, when a system becomes so corrupted, a drastic intervention becomes necessary. Think about it like a garden overrun with weeds. Sometimes, you have to clear everything out to make space for new growth. This moral darkness would soon give way to a transformative moment, one that would change the course of history forever. And so, the stage was set. Humanity had reached a point where change was no longer just desirable, it was essential. This darkened world, with its cycles of harm and indifference, would soon encounter a force far greater than any individual's selfish desires. It was a pivotal moment, where destruction and hope would collide, leading to a new kind of beginning. In the midst of a world consumed by darkness, one man stood out as a beacon of integrity: Noah. He wasn't perfect, but his heart remained aligned with the values of goodness and faithfulness, qualities that had become almost extinct around him. Picture Noah as someone who, despite the decay around him, kept his integrity intact. He was chosen, not because he was immune to fear or doubt, but because he was willing to listen, to obey. This choice wasn't random. It was based on a fundamental quality Noah possessed: his unwavering belief in something greater than himself. Noah's mission was no small task, and it wasn't without immense challenge. Imagine being told to construct a massive vessel, an ark, to preserve life in a world heading toward destruction. For anyone else, the idea might have seemed absurd. But Noah had faith in what he was called to do. This wasn't just about hammering planks together. It was about building something that could withstand both nature's fury and society's ridicule. It required strength of spirit as much as strength of hand. The instructions for the ark were precise. Every measurement, every detail was accounted for. It was to be crafted from sturdy wood, with each layer built to weather the storm ahead. The ark was not merely a boat, it was a fortress of faith, an act of resilience in a time when most had given up hope. The dimensions weren't arbitrary. They symbolized a design meant to endure. This attention to detail wasn't just practical but a testament to Noah's obedience. He understood that every nail, every plank mattered in the grand scheme. As Noah began his work, he was met with scorn and disbelief from those around him. The world he lived in was not one that respected such acts of faith. Imagine the courage it took to keep working, day in and day out, with people mocking him, calling him a fool. Yet, Noah continued, his resolve undeterred. This kind of faith, the ability to keep going despite all odds, is rare even today. How many times do we abandon our purpose because the world around us doubts it? Noah's mission was more than a personal endeavor. It was a symbol of hope for all life. His ark was not only a refuge for his family but also for the creatures of the earth. This aspect of his mission reminds us that faith and duty often extend beyond ourselves. Imagine the countless species, each with a place in that ark, each one representing a fragment of life worth preserving. In his dedication, Noah wasn't just saving his kin, he was safeguarding the diversity of life itself. In many ways, Noah's mission is a story of listening, of trusting in guidance even when it defies logic. It's easy to dismiss something that seems impossible, but Noah listened with an open heart. Sometimes, life calls us to tasks that seem beyond our capacity, but, like Noah, if we remain open, we might discover new strengths within ourselves. His story teaches us that purpose often requires resilience and a willingness to go beyond comfort and familiarity. The ark became a place of refuge, a sanctuary against the chaos that surrounded it. Picture it as a small world within itself, a floating haven in a sea of destruction. Noah's task was not just to survive, but to ensure that life could continue. In times of hardship, having such a sanctuary, a place where hope is preserved, is crucial. Whether it's a physical space or a mental one, we all need our own arks, places that keep us grounded when the world is turbulent. This story of Noah reminds us that faith can move us to accomplish things we never imagined possible. Sometimes, we're called to build things that others don't understand, to take on challenges that seem insurmountable. Imagine the strength it takes to stand firm in your purpose when every voice around you questions it. Noah's journey shows us that following a calling requires courage, often in the face of overwhelming skepticism. As the ark neared completion, the stage was set for the next chapter in this story. Noah's mission was not yet finished, for soon the flood would come, testing the very structure he had labored over. The ark, built through faith and perseverance, would soon face the storm it was made to withstand. As Noah's ark stood ready, there was one final task that needed to be completed before the storm began: the gathering of all creatures. Imagine the scene: animals of every shape, size, and species coming together in harmony, each guided by an invisible force. It's a powerful image, isn't it? This was no ordinary migration. It was a symbol of preservation, a commitment to the continuity of life even in the face of total destruction. Each animal, from the tiniest insect to the largest mammal, had a place in Noah's ark. This gathering wasn't the result of Noah's efforts alone. It was guided by something beyond human understanding. The animals arrived at the ark, not out of instinct or survival, but out of a mysterious command that brought them together. Think about it. In a world as divided and chaotic as ours, such harmony seems almost unimaginable. Yet, here it was, a scene of unity amidst impending chaos, as if nature itself had a hand in this extraordinary mission. For Noah and his family, watching this procession must have been a sight to behold. Imagine the mix of awe and responsibility they must have felt, knowing they were entrusted with the care of so many living beings. Each creature that stepped onto the ark was a reminder of the importance of life's diversity, of the delicate balance that nature provides. They were not merely passengers, they were symbols of a world worth saving, each carrying the promise of a new beginning. As each animal took its place, the ark transformed into a microcosm of the world, a small, self-contained ecosystem. Noah's task wasn't just to build a vessel, it was to create a sanctuary where all forms of life could survive. Imagine the patience and care required to house so many species, each with its own needs and behaviors. This was a true test of stewardship, a role that demanded understanding, compassion, and respect for all living things. In a way, this gathering of creatures reflects the interconnectedness of all life. Every species, no matter how small or seemingly insignificant, played a role in this journey of survival. Think of the tiny insects that might have seemed unimportant yet were essential to the balance of the ecosystem. Noah's Ark wasn't just a place of refuge for the mighty and majestic. It was a haven for the humble and overlooked, a reminder that every form of life has value. For many of us, the idea of preserving life may seem abstract, yet Noah's actions make it tangible. He didn't choose only the animals he liked or found useful. He welcomed them all. This inclusivity is a powerful lesson in empathy and respect for diversity. In our own lives, how often do we overlook those who seem different or unimportant? Noah's gathering shows us that true preservation requires embracing all aspects of life, not just the ones we favor. There's something deeply comforting about the idea that even in times of destruction, life finds a way to persist. The creatures on Noah's Ark symbolize resilience, a determination to survive against all odds. Think about the challenges they would face: confinement, unfamiliar conditions, and the uncertainty of what lay ahead. Yet, each one endured, adapting to the circumstances with quiet strength. In this way, they mirror our own struggles and the resilience we must summon in difficult times. This gathering was not just a logistical feat, it was a profound act of faith. Imagine the trust required to believe that this assortment of animals could live together in peace, guided by a shared purpose of survival. For Noah, this was as much a journey of faith as it was of survival. Each creature that entered the ark was a testament to his unwavering belief that life was worth saving, that there was a future worth fighting for. As the last animal took its place, Noah's ark stood ready, filled with life from every corner of creation. The time had come, and with the gathering complete, the stage was set for the next part of this epic journey. Soon, the rains would come, testing the strength of the ark and the faith of those who sought refuge within it. And then, it began. The skies, once clear and calm, darkened as clouds gathered with an intensity never before seen. Imagine the sudden stillness, the quiet before the storm, as the first raindrops fell, soon transforming into a torrential downpour. This was no ordinary rain. It was a relentless flood sent to cleanse the earth. Every drop carried a weight of judgment, a reminder of the consequences of humanity's choices. For Noah and his family, this was the moment they had been preparing for, yet the reality of it must have been overwhelming. The rain continued, unceasing, for days and nights on end. Imagine the sound, the roar of rain pounding against the ark, and the water levels rising with an unstoppable force. The world they knew was being swallowed by water, reshaped and renewed. This flood wasn't just a natural disaster. It was a powerful symbol, an act of cleansing that swept away the old to make way for the new. It was a test of endurance, both for those within the ark and the structure itself. Inside the ark, Noah and his family were safe, but the atmosphere was likely filled with a mix of relief and tension. Imagine being enclosed in a vessel, surrounded by nothing but endless water on all sides. It was a test not only of faith but of patience and resilience. Each day, they listened to the endless rain, trusting that this deluge would eventually pass. It's a lesson in perseverance, in holding firm to faith even when surrounded by uncertainty and darkness. As the waters rose, the familiar world vanished beneath the waves. Mountains, trees, and fields disappeared, swallowed by the flood. For Noah, this must have been a sobering sight, a reminder of the magnitude of the event unfolding around him. The flood wasn't selective. It consumed everything in its path. This was a fresh start on a scale that's hard to imagine. Everything that had once defined their world was gone, leaving them as the sole survivors in a vast, watery expanse. But within the ark, life went on. Noah and his family tended to the animals, maintaining a fragile ecosystem within those wooden walls. This daily routine, this act of care, became a lifeline, a way of preserving normalcy in the face of overwhelming change. Every act of feeding, cleaning, and comforting was a reminder that life was still precious, still worth preserving. It was a testament to their resilience and their commitment to the mission that had brought them there. In many ways, the flood represents the storms we face in our own lives. We all experience moments when it feels like the world is crashing down around us, when we're engulfed by challenges that seem insurmountable. But like Noah, we are called to endure, to weather the storm with faith and resilience. This story teaches us that even in the darkest times, there is hope, a promise of renewal waiting on the other side. It's a powerful reminder that every storm, no matter how fierce, eventually passes. Imagine the emotional toll of watching everything you've ever known disappear. For Noah's family, the flood wasn't just a physical event, it was a profound emotional journey. They were witnesses to both destruction and preservation, to loss and hope. This experience reshaped them, giving them a deeper understanding of the value of life and the importance of the mission they were part of. It's a lesson in perspective, in appreciating what we have and understanding that sometimes loss can lead to new beginnings. The flood continued, seemingly endless, a constant reminder of the world that was being left behind. And yet, within the ark, there was a sense of purpose, a shared determination to survive and protect the life entrusted to them. This sense of purpose became their anchor, grounding them as the waters raged around them. They weren't just surviving, they were holding on to a promise, a hope that one day the waters would recede and a new world would emerge. Finally, after what must have felt like an eternity, the rain began to lessen, the skies began to clear, and the floodwaters slowly began to retreat. The storm had passed, but the journey was far from over. The world outside was changed, unrecognizable, but for Noah and his family, this was the beginning of something new. The flood had ended, but the next chapter of their journey was just beginning. When the storm finally subsided and the waters began to recede, a sense of calm filled the air. Imagine stepping out of the ark after so long, seeing the world freshly washed, cleansed, and silent. For Noah and his family, it must have felt like stepping into a new creation. The flood had ended, but the land they once knew had been transformed. And in that profound silence, as the earth began to dry, a symbol appeared in the sky, a rainbow, brilliant and vibrant, stretching across the heavens. This rainbow was more than just a beautiful sight. It was a promise, a covenant between the Creator and humanity. It was a declaration that never again would the world be destroyed by such a flood. Imagine the relief and gratitude that must have filled Noah's heart upon seeing this sign. After everything he and his family had endured, this rainbow was a beacon of hope, a reminder that the worst was behind them, and a new beginning lay ahead. It was a promise written in light. The rainbow wasn't just for Noah, it was a covenant for all generations to come. It's a universal symbol, one that continues to remind us of hope and renewal. Every time we see a rainbow, we're witnessing the same promise that was made thousands of years ago. It's a moment of connection to the past, a reminder that no matter how dark the storm, there's light on the other side. This promise wasn't just a guarantee against floods, it was a symbol of mercy, a commitment to life itself. For Noah, the rainbow must have held a deeper significance. It wasn't just the end of the flood, it was a new chapter in humanity's story. This covenant was an assurance that life would continue, that the world would be given another chance. Think of the rainbow as a bridge, a connection between the Creator and creation, a reminder that no matter the hardships, there is a divine presence watching over. In this way, the rainbow became a source of strength and inspiration for generations. The beauty of a rainbow lies not only in its colors but in what it represents. It's a symbol of unity, with each color blending into the next, creating something greater than the sum of its parts. This unity reflects the diversity of life that Noah had preserved on the ark. Just as each color has its place in the rainbow, each creature, each person, has a unique and valuable role in the world. The rainbow reminds us that our differences, like colors, make the world richer and more beautiful. In our own lives, the rainbow covenant can be a source of comfort. When we face our own storms, we can look to the rainbow as a reminder that difficult times pass, that there's a promise of hope on the other side. This covenant encourages us to keep faith, to endure with the knowledge that renewal is possible. It's a powerful reminder that life is filled with second chances, with opportunities to rebuild and start anew, no matter how overwhelming the challenges may seem. For Noah's family, the rainbow marked the beginning of their journey into a changed world. They had survived the flood, but now came the task of rebuilding, of sowing new seeds and nurturing new growth. This was a moment of responsibility as much as it was one of relief. The rainbow wasn't just a sign of safety, it was a call to action, a reminder that they were stewards of the earth, entrusted with the care of a world reborn. It was a fresh start, filled with both promise and purpose. Today, the rainbow continues to hold meaning in cultures around the world. It's a symbol of peace, of unity, and of hope. It speaks to our shared humanity, to the idea that we're all part of something greater. Every time we see a rainbow, we're reminded of the beauty of diversity, of resilience, and of the commitment to life. It's a timeless emblem, one that has endured for centuries as a symbol of hope and renewal, a bridge between the past and the future. And so, as Noah looked upon the rainbow, he understood that this was the beginning of a new era. The flood was behind them, but the journey was far from over. The covenant had been made, and now it was up to Noah and his family to live in harmony with this new world. A fresh chapter awaited, filled with possibility, a future shaped by the choices they would make from that moment on. As we reach the end of Noah's story, the question isn't just about what he did, but about what we can take away from his journey. How often do we face challenges that feel as insurmountable as a flood? And like Noah, are we ready to build our own ark, a foundation of faith, resilience, and purpose, to withstand the storms? Noah's legacy teaches us that even in the face of total destruction, there is always hope for renewal and a chance to rebuild. So, what's the next step for you? Are you prepared to apply these lessons in your own life? To look beyond fear, to persevere against all odds, and to create a future worth fighting for? This is your moment to act, to harness your potential and rise above whatever challenges lie ahead. Ask yourself, what will you do today to lay the groundwork for a better tomorrow? If you're ready to keep exploring life-changing stories and insights like these, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications. There's so much more to learn, and each lesson could be the key to your next breakthrough.